people, I'm coming at you from a very chilly December morning. It is Saturday and I'm going to be filming a little weekend reading vlog. It's going to be a challenge vlog, the challenge being something that I'm going to be doing tomorrow, which I'll tell you about shortly. But I wanted to make it into a little weekend vlog because I am going out today to a really lovely National Trust property. I'm hoping that it's going to be quite Christmassy, going into the house. I'm meeting up with a friend and I'm hoping there's going to be some lovely Christmas trees up and stuff, so I thought that would be nice to film and include. I also finished a book last night that I wanted to talk about. I've started a new book that I'm really liking and I've got the challenge tomorrow, so I thought I'd make a little weekend vlog. So in my previous vlog, was saying about how I was reading The Murder on the Christmas Express by Alexandra Benedict. Now, if you watched that video, you'll have heard me saying that I read a previous book by Alexandra Benedict, didn't like it, and unhauled it. Now, that was a lie, apparently. I thought I'd unhauled it, but it turned out it was under my bed, and I found it yesterday. That book is The Christmas Murder Game. This was written... in a way I did not gel with. I did not like the writing for this book. It felt incredibly simple and not very cleverly woven. It was a fun concept, but I just didn't get on with the writing. So when I bought this and I realised it was the same author, I felt I'd been a bit silly. I did not click it was the same author. The concept drew me in for this. This is set on a sleeper train on Christmas Eve, following a group of people going from England to Scotland. One of them has been killed. We are following an ex or retired detective who is trying to find out who did it. The concept, it lured me in. I like the isolated train setting. It's very Murder on the Orient Express-y, and I thought it was going to be a fun read, and then I realised it was the same author as this book. Now, a fun read it was. I definitely enjoyed it story-wise, but writing-wise, similar to this, I did not. Please bear in mind, this is obviously just my own opinion. This is just my take on it, but for me, the writing just felt incredibly simple and like there was so much more they could do with the writing. There were so many words that weren't needed to be used for things as well, like so many sentences where I was like, what? Why? I should have been making notes on this because now I'm going to misquote things, but there was a conversation where they were trying to unlock the dead person's phone and they said, if only we could use their face to unlock their phone, but we can't because they're dead. And it was like, the way it was written was so like, it felt like such a waste of words. Like, obviously you can't use their face to unlock the phone because obviously they are dead. Why? Like, we know this. It just, there were so many pointless conversations happening that it felt like it was there just to bulk out the book a little bit. There was also a very weird, uncomfortable and awkward conversation happening at the start of this book that, again, I don't know why I didn't note down what page this was on to be able to tell you about it because, oh, it was so strange. So, for context, there is a social media content creator influencer on this train. Now, I am sick of the rep that content creators get in fiction, in film, in TV, in books. It all seems to be the same. It all seems to make them seem really narcissistic, really money-grabbing, just doing it for the likes, just doing it for the popularity, and I hate that because I create content because I love creating content. I love entertaining people, I love trying to make people happy, and I like creating. That is what I enjoy about it. So sorry if you can hear the dog barking in the background. And it very much focused around this person just doing it for the likes, and I hate that that is always the take because it seems to always be the take. If you have read something that doesn't have that take, please let me know because I'm just sick of it. It really takes away the creative element and the fact that people are doing it because they want to entertain. Ultimately, content creation is free content that people are making because they enjoy it and they love doing it. I know that's not always the case, but anyway, it's something that I keep reading about recently and I keep noticing it and it keeps bugging me. So anyway, we have a content creator on this train. She's very popular, everyone knows who she is. And she is having a conversation, or she's involved in a conversation. This conversation takes place over 2 pages and then is never mentioned again. And we're talking about one of the main characters, or one of the other characters on the train, sorry, sexuality. And the content creator kind of earwigs in on this conversation and ends up saying how fascinating she finds all of this and wants to interview them on their social media. And it just was so weirdly written. Why is this dog so loud? It was so weirdly written. I can't explain it. I don't know if it comes across as weird as it read, but the fact that it was just 1 page felt very box ticking. It was never mentioned again. It was really artificially done. It felt very awkward reading it. When I was reading it, I literally had to read over it again to check I'd got that right. The whole conversation was really oddly done. I definitely think it's great that we're seeing more authors be more inclusive in their writing, but this just felt like it was done to tick boxes. Why is this dog being so loud? I think it's when the word fascinating was used, and I was like, I don't know if that sits right with me. It just felt like they were being poked and prodded about like they were this strange person because of their sexuality, and that just, why? So that was very strange. It felt like the author was really trying to do something and obviously trying to be more inclusive, which is great, but was just box ticking it, and it felt very awkward. Awkward is the word that comes to mind for it. It just felt very awkward to read. Do you know what else is awkward? Is this dog barking. Normally it barks for like a few minutes and then it stops, but this is consistent. I would usually wait and film when the dog has stopped barking, but I need to leave soon, so we're gonna keep going. I'm really sorry. So I then started a new book. I started the Book of the Most Precious Substance by Sarah Gran. This is following a book dealer, a rare book dealer, who has been given a tip-off about this very, very, very rare book that they are going to try and track down. And this sends them on a bit of an adventure that might be a bit dangerous. They go to New Orleans, which I'm really excited about. New Orleans is somewhere I've been really interested in reading about in fiction over the last few years, so I'm really excited to read more about it in fiction. We also go to a couple of other places as well, hang on. So it's set in New York, New Orleans, Munich and Paris. So I love the travel element. This seems like a kind of similar vibe to The Shadow of the Wind, which I've always said is my favourite book, but it has been surpassed now, I think, The Shadow of the Wind. I'm going to be making a favourite books video very soon, actually, so that will be something that I do in the new year. But this is definitely giving me those kind of vibes, so if you like The Shadow of the Wind, you might quite enjoy this. I'm only 30 pages in at the moment, but I'm really liking the atmosphere. I love books about books, it's some of my favourite genres, so I'm really excited to see where this one goes. I'm going to be reading this today, but tomorrow I am doing this little reading challenge, so let me tell you what I'm going to be reading then. So I was in an arc of 5 Survive by Holly Jackson, which is Holly Jackson's latest YA thriller. And I'm really mad at myself because I got my dates twisted. I had in my head that this came out in February, it came out on the 8th of December, which is now 2 days ago, and I'm kicking myself because I knew I wanted to do this video and I wanted to do it before it came out, and now I've missed that. So I apologise this is late, but I am excited to make this video nonetheless. So on the front cover of this book, it says your 8 hours start now. There's a QR code included in this arc, and basically it takes you to a website where Holly Jackson has challenged readers to try and read this book in real time in 8 hours. I thought that would be a fun video. I think I will read this in under 8 hours. It's a YA thriller. I tend to read those fairly quickly. I find them quite speedy in pacing, but I'm interested to see how long it does take me to read it because I don't really know what my reading pace is. I'm very excited to be back in Holly Jackson's brain because the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series was fantastic. I know very little about this. I really am going in quite blind. The blurb, well, the back of the book, I think this is just an excerpt rather than the blurb, really doesn't give much away at all. I literally don't know a thing. The little card I've got says this follows 6 friends on a road trip in an RV, a road trip that takes a deadly turn. And then Holly Jackson just goes into talking about the writing process and things. So I really don't know much about this, but what Holly Jackson has said is about wanting to write a book set in real time, limited to just one location. And that was the seed that 5 Survive grew from, a full thriller with twists and turns set in just 8 hours, unfolding in the same time it takes to read the book. No flashbacks, no time skipping, no escaping the RV, just like our cast of characters. I think this sounds very interesting. What I'm going to try and do is read this consecutively and not really give myself too many breaks in between. Like, obviously I'll break to like go to the loo and go and eat lunch and stuff, but I'm going to just try and sit down and read this solidly if I can. Watch me completely fail at this. But this is the challenge for this vlog. This won't be done till tomorrow because I pretty much have nothing on my to-do list for tomorrow. So I'm excited to give it a go. I'm really excited to read this book anyway. Loving this book. Also in the car, because I'm leaving very soon, I'm going to be listening on SCRIBD to Innocent Traitor by Alison Weir, which is telling the story of Lady Jane Grey. It's a historical fiction and oh, it's breaking me already, and I know obviously what happens to Lady Jane Grey, so it's only going to break me more. I've never read anything by Alison Weir before. My mum has been wanting me to read this book for a long time, and she picked it as part of my Fictionary TBR for this month, and it's really good. My mum knew what she was talking about, which of course she did. It's really good. So I'm going to be listening to that in the car. I'm about halfway through. It's very interesting reading this obviously knowing the outcome of what happens to Lady Jane Grey, but reading it from her perspective when she doesn't. It really adds another level to it. So I'm gonna listen to that in the car. I'm gonna head off now, but I hope you enjoy this vlog. I don't know if you can see, but I've got like dragon breath in my car. It's a bit bloody cold out. Hello, it is Saturday evening. I am back from my day out. I had such a nice day. I was with my friend Kat, who is Tack Fiction on Instagram. It was so frosty, but so pretty, so cold. But it just made it absolutely beautiful. It was a frosty, sunny kind of day, and I just think those are absolutely gorgeous at this time of year. So you'll have seen all the footage. The interior of the house was just so beautiful, so magical. Made me very, very happy. I did also buy a couple of books because National Trust properties tend to have some secondhand bookshops. So we stopped by the secondhand bookshop and had a little bit of a mooch. And I bought my first ever blind date with a book. So I'm going to unbox that a little bit because I haven't opened it up yet. But I also picked up a copy of this chonker. So this is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. I'm definitely daunted by this, but Neil Gaiman has praised it very highly in his review. He said it's unquestionably the finest English novel of the fantastic written in the last 70 years. It's funny, moving, scary, otherworldly, practical and magical. A journey through light and shadow, a delight to read. In terms of what this is actually about, let me read you the blurb. The year is 1806. England is beleaguered by the long war with Napoleon. Beleaguered? 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 And centuries have passed since practical magicians faded into the nation's past. But scholars of this glorious history discover that one remains, the reclusive Mr. Norrell, whose displays of magic send a thrill through the country. Proceeding to London, he raises a beautiful woman from the dead and summons an army of ghostly ships to terrify the French. Yet the cautious, fussy Norrell is challenged by the emergence of another magician, the brilliant novice Jonathan Strange. Young, handsome and daring, Strange is the very antithesis of Norrell. So begins a dangerous battle between these two great men which overwhelms that between England and France, and their obsession and secret dabblings with the dark arts are going to cause more trouble than they can imagine. It sounds exciting and epic. How many pages actually is this? Over 1,000 pages. This edition, normally the editions I've seen are black. This one is red and I'm quite pleased with it. So I picked up this because it was literally £2.50, so it was a bargain. And then I got my blind date with a book, which I would like to open on camera and see what it is. The hint that I have is a terrific thriller. Now, that's not specific, and I do own quite a few thrillers, but hopefully not this one. I'm gonna attempt to take the holly out without stabbing myself in the finger for the 50th time. It's so prettily wrapped. I feel like I'm destroying it. I do have to say I prefer it when these kind of books give you a little bit more information rather than just saying a terrific thriller, because that really could be anything. But I have never done a blind date with a book before, so I thought it would be fun. Okay, fingers crossed. It's not a book I already own, and it's one that I'm interested in. It's not a book I already own. Linwood Barclay. I know that name. It's a series conclusion. Are you kidding me? It literally says the epic conclusion to the Promised Falls series. The 23. Why would someone wrap a conclusion up as a blind date book? Okay, hang on, maybe it's one of those ones where you don't need to have read the rest of them. The day begins like any other Saturday, a shower, coffee, breakfast, but suddenly all hell breaks loose in the town of Promised Falls. People are dying in the street, the hospital and emergency services are overwhelmed by the sheer numbers. Is it mass food poisoning, a virus, or something more sinister? Has someone, rather than something, caused this? Detective Barry Duckworth is already investigating 2 murders and an explosion at the town's drive-in. He starts to wonder if these crimes and the new attacks are connected to the mysterious incidents in Promised Falls involving the number 23. But who is sending these deadly messages and how can they be stopped? I mean, in all fairness, that doesn't sound like something I need to have read the other books for. I guess they're all just set in the same place. Also, credit to how floppy this book is. Do you know what? That actually does sound quite interesting. I do like the sound of that. And I mean, it doesn't sound like I need to have read the other books. So I'll give it a go. At some point, it's gonna go on the thriller shelf. Why do I recognise this author's name? I really recognise the author's name, but I'm looking at the book list of books they've written previously, unless it's something they've written after this. I don't recognise any of them. This was written, first published in 2016. I mean, okay. I'm intrigued. I'll give it a go. I also got my Fairyloot copy through A Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong, and it's very pretty. If you don't want spoilers for this or the Fairyloot Adult Box, then skip to this timestamp now, because I'm also going to be unboxing the November Fairyloot Adult Box, I think it is. So head to this timestamp, I'll give you a second, and there will be no more spoilers. Okay. Spoilers! Look at this! So this is Foul Lady Fortune. Oh my gosh, this is so pretty. This colour is gorgeous. I don't have many books on my shelf of this lovely duck egg blue. The colour's probably not coming across too well because it's kind of dark in here, but yes, this is very, very pretty. This is a side series to Chloe Gong's original series, These Violent Delights. This one follows one of the characters from that series 10 years after the events of the last book in that duology, and it's definitely a very high stakes type of read. Lots of drama going on, and this edition is so pretty. So that's gorgeous. Oh, actually, hang on, let's look under the dust jacket. Ah, it's beautiful. I'm gonna have to find space on my shelf for this to go, but yeah, that is gorgeous. I also have the November Fairyloot Adult Box to unbox. I'm a little bit late with this one, so apologies. I am a rep for Fairyloot, and that does now include my adult books as well, so I'm going to be sharing those with you going forward. If you would like to receive 5% off the first box in the YA book box subscription, you can use the code I do believe in fairies at checkout. And that one is for the YA box. So this is the adult box that I'm going to be showing you now. Obviously the adult box is book only, and the theme for this is bad blood. I do know what this book is, and I'm very excited. It sounds really cool. So it is Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I have seen this one about the place, and I'm really glad I haven't picked it up sooner because this copy is so pretty. Yes, I love the stenciled edges. I love the red. Very sexy kind of cover, I think. Got the end pages. Ooh, under the dust jacket we have, what's this called when it's like a picture printed on to the hardcover? I don't know. There's a picture printed onto the hardcover. Very pretty. Hang on, let's see the other end of the end pages. There we go. Oh my god, it's all falling apart. There's the other end pages. Okay, I'm gonna read you the blurb because we know I'm crap at summarising things. Saved from the brink of death by a mysterious stranger, Constanta is transformed from a medieval peasant into a bride fit for an undying king. But when Dracula draws a cunning aristocrat and a starving artist into his web of passion and deceit, Constanta realises that her beloved is capable of terrible things. Finding comfort in the arms of her rival consorts, she begins to unravel their husband's dark secrets. With the lives of everyone she loves on the line, Constanta will have to choose between her own freedom and her love for her husband, but bonds forged by blood can only be broken by death. This is S.T. Gibson's sensational novel and is the darkly seductive tale of Dracula's first bride, Constanta. I want to actually read Dracula at some point, so this is definitely fueling that want. This has an exclusive cover, digital sprayed edges, artwork on the hardcover by Warwick Art, and end papers also by Warwick Art. There is also an afterword printed at the end. Thank you so much, Fairyloot, for sending this one through. Okay, I'm gonna go get into my pajamas because what else would I like to be doing at 5:30 on a Friday night? No, Saturday night. Even better. I'm gonna get into my pajamas and then I bought myself some nice bits for dinner, so I'm gonna have some dinner and watch a film. It's all good, and maybe read a little bit. I did read a little bit in the car whilst I was waiting for my friend to arrive earlier, but not much at all. And I listened to a bit more of Innocent Traitor and I'm just, oh, I know where it's going and I don't want it to, but I know it is. So yeah, that's also really good. Okay, I'm gonna crack on my evening. I will catch up with you later. Okay, it's absolutely freezing out this morning. It's Sunday, but look at the cobwebs. I mean, yes, my balcony is covered in cobwebs, but they look so cool. I'm not a fan of spiders at all, and it annoys me how cobwebby my balcony gets, and I do clear it out in the summer, but it looks so cool with the way it's frosted over. Okay, it's now Sunday. I'm gonna start my 8-hour challenge very shortly. I'm gonna get the timer ready. I think it's just a QR code I have to scan. I did intend to start this earlier, but I ended up clearing out my dressing table drawer where all my makeup is, and that took me ages. It's been something I've been meaning to do for a very long time. It was not in a good state, so I'm glad I've done that now at least. But it is now around 1, so I want my 8 hours to start as soon as I can. I don't think it's gonna take me the full 8 hours to read this, but I want to give myself as much of an opportunity to be able to as possible if it does take the full 8 hours. Okay, I thought I could scan the QR code here, but that just takes me to the Electric Monkey website. There was one that I scanned that took me through to a timer website though. I mean, I know I can just use the timer on my phone, but I wanna use the site that was set up. Well, I've got no idea how to find it. I have done a little Google, but I guess I'm just gonna use the timer on my phone then. So we'll just use my normal stopwatch timer, but let's get going with this challenge. Just before I get going with 5 Survive, I wanted to quickly say how I'm getting on with this one. This is so good. This is definitely a lot more sexual than I was expecting, which I'm really enjoying that side of it. The mystery element is being woven in. I'm really enjoying the writing style. I feel like this is going to be a very addictive read for me and possibly a 5-star read. I'm getting that vibe. Obviously, it is hard to tell. I'm only about 80 pages in, but I am really liking this. I'm excited to continue it after I finish 5 Survive. But for now, I've got my cozy setup, I've got my blanket, I've got my ASMR room, Christmas tree lights. Let's go. Okay, here I go. I found the timer! It was on a newsletter in my emails and I managed to find it. It was bugging me that I didn't have this because I knew this counted backwards from 8 hours and I really wanted to have this timer up to read. So I've literally only been reading for 10 minutes-ish, well just over that. And so I just left this timer going whilst it caught up to the time the other one I've got to. So now I shall continue. I'm only like 20 pages in, but so far so good. And now I have the proper timer. I'm having a very short reading break just to watch a little bit of Father Christmas because this is just the best Christmassy show. Okay, I have got 5 hours, you can't tell, 5 hours and 18 minutes left on my timer and I am just over halfway through, so I don't think that's going to be a problem to finish it within that time. I know a little bit more about this now, so I can actually tell you vaguely what it's about. So we're following a group of 6 people who are going on a trip. They are driving an RV and they take a wrong turn, they get a bit lost, and somebody shoots at the RV, and it turns out that there is somebody after a secret from one of these 6 people, and they are basically staking them out with a gun. We don't know who has the secret, we don't know what the secret is, but there are 6 of them on this RV, and we are following the intensity of them being stuck overnight with this person trying to track them down. I'm saying track them down, they're staking them out essentially. So it's very intense. Reading it like this, just constantly, like I haven't stopped reading it since I started reading it. Reading it in this way definitely makes it very, very intense. There's no break. You are there with them through every step of this journey. You don't get a break in their story. You are following them constantly, and that is very intense. It's a lot. It's definitely a lot for these characters to experience. And reading it like this definitely gets me more tense for them as well, so I'm enjoying that element of it. I'm not a big fan of the characters. I don't really like any of them. I do prefer to like at least one character when I'm reading a book. They are deliberately unlikable, I think, but I just could do with liking one of them. I mean, I kind of like one of them, maybe-ish, but they've all got aspects that I'm finding a little bit dislikable, so I don't know if I'm rooting for them. I mean, I am rooting for them. They are... You want the outcome to be positive for them, but I don't know how much I care about them as characters yet. But I'm halfway through. All is to play for, high stakes. So let's keep going. I have about 200 or so pages left. It's just shy of 400 pages, so I've just under 200 pages left. And it is currently, oh, I don't have my watch on, hang on. It's 4:48 p.m, so I should be able to finish this, hopefully, maybe around 7-ish is what I'm hoping for. So I'm gonna get back to reading. So I just went to check my timer to see how long I had left, and it's reset itself to 8 hours, which is really useful. So when I last updated you, I think I had around 5 hours and 20 minutes left. So I think I've been reading for about an hour. So I just have over 400 hours? No, 4 hours. I have just under 100 pages left. Lots of things are happening, very high stakes, a lot of drama. I have no idea which direction this is going to take. I still don't overly like any of the characters, but it's so intense with such high stakes that I don't really mind too much now, because it's just swept me up in everything that's going on. I'm definitely enjoying this as a reading experience. One of the characters, I just wanna... if you've read it, you'll know they're just... If you haven't read it, would recommend. It's a good YA thriller. I'm gonna go cook some food now because I need to stop looking at the pages of this for a little bit, and then I will come back and finish it. Okay, because the timer stopped working, I can't tell you how many hours it took me to actually finish this book, but I think it was around 5 to 6, and I have now finished 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars. I'm just gonna touch on my final thoughts. Won't be going into any spoilers, this will be spoiler free. Having enjoyed the first 2 books in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series and then not loving the last one, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into with this book. I didn't know whether I was going to like it or not. And I did just kind of feel a bit average about it, I suppose, with a 3.5. I didn't dislike it at all, but I didn't absolutely love it. It was definitely incredibly gripping, and the ending was so fast-paced. There was so much going on and so many twists and turns that I really enjoyed, and that's what I love about thrillers, that the moment when you get to the conclusion of everything that's been building up and it's just constantly giving you more and more intensity and more action. And I think having read this in a day and read this in such a short amount of time, the intensity was just doubled so much more because I felt like I was there experiencing it with the characters. So I'm really glad I read it in that way to help enhance that feeling, especially at the end of the book. I still didn't love the characters towards the end, which is a shame. I think not one of them did I fully like, and I think that did stop me feeling as invested in their stories because I didn't really mind their outcome quite as much. So I think that probably affected my rating, and I think if I'd have liked the characters a bit more, it probably would have come out as a 4-star. One thing that is a reason that I really enjoyed Holly Jackson's Good Girl's Guide to Murder series is the setting of it. It's set in the south of England. It's set in an area I'm fairly familiar with as well, like the general area. Obviously the town itself is fictional, but the general place is somewhere I'm quite familiar with. And I really liked reading about that and the English school system system and things was all stuff I could relate to. And I didn't actually realise that this one was set in America, so that was instantly a different type of atmosphere and a different type of dynamic to read from Holly Jackson. Also, interestingly, comparing this to my experience reading the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, I loved the first 2 books in that series. The third book, as I've said, I didn't love as much. The reason for that is we got to know the main character very well in the first 2 books, and we got to know her motivations and her intentions. And in the third book, she did a series of things that were just so against everything we got to know about her that it just threw me. And I understand what Holly Jackson was trying to do when she did those things, but it felt so unplausible to me that I found it really difficult to get on board with that plot. And it just felt like we built her up and then tore it all down. And I just felt really let down by it. And I think that's interesting because I felt that there were unplausible parts in that book that made me not love that one. And I think this had a few similar moments. There were parts where I was like, really? Are we really doing that? So I think that definitely affected things as well. Making it sound like I hated it. I didn't. It was a fun thriller. I think if you want a good YA thriller to read, if you are a fan of Holly Jackson's writing, you will like this. I did like it. I just wanted a little tiny bit more from it. I'm gonna just chill for the evening now. I'm midway through watching a film that I started whilst I was eating and having a little bit of a reading break. I'm watching, wait, it's right in front of me, Something from Tiffany's, which is on Amazon Prime, and it's quite good so far. It's a Christmassy film. I'm enjoying it. There's a lot of baking stuff in it and it's making me very hungry. I can't cook or bake, but it's making me very hungry. But I'm gonna get ready for bed now and just chill and be ready for Monday. I only have 1 full working week left before I then have a half week for the Christmas break. I'm so excited. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. It was a little short weekend vlog, but hopefully you did like it. If you did, please do give this video a thumbs up. Comment down below what you are reading at the moment or what you've been reading over this weekend. You can subscribe to see more of my face on your feed. And linked down below you will find my Patreon where I do lots of extra content and also my online shop where I sell light reading presets. Thank you so much for watching, keep smiling and stay positive.